Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Cuz You Don't Know Football. Yo, we're going to jump right into it. We got my man Cesar here today. We're going to get into some NFC and AFC North. Yeah, I mean, we're going to get into it with this series that we on. We making big moves with this series. You heard me? Cesar, can you hear me?
I can hear you, my boy. What's up with you?
What's going on? Listen, as if this show wasn't cool enough, we had to get you back over here.
Okay. I see the studio boom, Mike.
Listen, we try to make advancements where we can. You feel me? Like, we can't stay the same forever.
There you go.
So listen, man, we're just going to jump straight into it because everybody been wanting to hear what you got to say with this way too early playoff predictions, because everybody was like, that's Cesar, he talk a lot. Now, if somebody talk a lot, it's him,
Yo, I got a lot to say, my boy. I got a lot to say.
So with this series, this is exactly everything that you got to say from in the past. Now you get to do that now, okay? This is where you get to show what you know. See, I dropped that bar just for you, okay? I wish I had a clues bomb. I could drop that. Boom. You see what I'm saying? All right. So we're going to get into the NFC North and the AFC North breakdown. And then we're going to talk about some bust candidates. And then we're going to get into the way too early playoff predictions. How's that sound for you?
That sounds perfect for me.
Okay. So let's start. I like to look at it. I like to go in order where it's like, this really wasn't a good team and then move up to the good teams. But, you know what I mean? We're going to bounce around. I'm going to keep you on your toes, if anything else.
Okay. Ready? I'm ready.
All right. North teams. All right. Well, let's start with the Minnesota Vikings. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Of course, their guy, JJ McCarthy, just got hurt for the year, which is very sad.
I'm done for the year.
He didn't even get to play yet. You see what I'm saying?
Good in the preseason, though.
For the time that he was there. But of course, they picked up Aaron Jones this offseason. Of course, they still got Jettas, Jordan Addison coming to his second year, TJ Hawkinson, you know what I mean? And that defense is still something that needs to improve on. But what do you think about the Vikings for this year? Just what do you think?
I think the Vikings weren't going to make the playoffs. They had a little glimpse of hope of not having to play Sam Darnold, but now he's going to be there probably 8 games. Aaron Jones is a little bit past his prime. He still gets you. I think he still gets you about 800 yards, which is decent the way teams are passing and doing running back by committee. I want to say last year he only had about 700 yards.
He was hurt for like half the year last year.
I don't know if Aaron Jones, but he was also with the Packers last year, right?
Yes.
He
came back for like the last 4 games of the regular season into the playoffs, but he was hurt for like half of the year.
I feel like the wide receiver core is decent. I want to know what happened to the guy they had last year, that rocket scientist quarterback guy. Remember him?
Are you talking about Kirk Cousins?
No, not the trash guy. I'm talking about when Kirk Cousins went down. Remember they went on a little tear for like Dobbins.
You're talking about
Dobbs.
You know what I mean, alopecia.
Yeah.
I can't think of his Dobbins. No, that's J.K. Dobbins.
It Dobbs, I think.
Joshua Dobbs.
Yeah. I wonder what happened to him, why he's not still on the roster. But I feel like they were going to be in 4th place this year. I can't say that I was banking on them to do much more. Every team made major upgrades, and although I do believe they have, one of the best wide receivers in football, if not the best, Justin. I just didn't see it because with the rookie quarterback, you can say he's going to do well, but you never know. Like that's a hit or miss. With Sam Darnold, I can almost guarantee. I don't think Justin Jefferson can make up for that deficit right there.
Right.
That's my humble.
Yeah, and I agree. I really don't have much to say about the Vikings right now, but I will say I actually think it might have been a little bit of a mistake for Jettis to resign with the Vikings because what's about to happen, I think it's going to be totally unfair to his talent and his career. I mean, he got all the money. Don't get me wrong, but now you're going to understand. See, this is where people don't understand where it's like somebody can be better, but they're not putting up the numbers that say that they're just the best. You know what I mean? And I think Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the game. But for the next like 2 or 3 years, like his numbers are going to decline. And it's not his fault. The offensive line needs help. The defense gets you know what I mean, scored on, you know what I mean, all the time. It's not much of a running game. No quarterback. Like numbers go down for wide receiver. Wide receiver is a position that needs other positions to do their job. And his numbers are going to slide, just like I think Devontae's slot slid a little bit, and they're going to start to question: is he that guy? And he's going to remain that guy.
I I don't know if they'll question it, but I feel like
Oh, they're going to question it. Watch, you mark my words. Give it to this time next year. You tell me if they say somebody else is the best, or he's not in the top five, or he might be top five, or something like that, and he's still going to be the best.
yeah, but if you I mean you can't. Everyone's going to give him a pass because who's throwing him the ball? Everyone's going to give him a pass. He might not get the spotlight because his numbers won't be there. The talent, the speed, the breakaway. He's going. The thing is, we've already seen his talent and we've seen who's thrown to him, right? So what we're going to see is there's no other bright spots on this offense. So we're going to see him wide open, and that's going to be what they talk about. Oh, look at him out here just riding in Minnesota. I mean he's not coming out that top five conversation. They won't be able to say he's number one because he won't have the production, but he's still gonna be in the top five, top three conversation regardless. A lot of fantasy owners is out there about to spend, they first round pick on him, and I feel sorry for him because he will not have first round numbers this year. But also in that first progression,
Mm-hmm.
Sam Darnold go to him every time. So he might. There's a slim chance he has a breakout year because Sam Darnold don't have a choice.
I don't see it, and it's not even his fault.
Yeah.
Because I think he's remarkable. But that's it. That's here nor there. We will not be spending all the time on the Minnesota Vikings. So let's move over to the other fourth place team from last year, the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns bringing back Deshaun Watson. Nick Chubb is coming back. They still retain Jerome Ford. Still got Amari Cooper. Added Jerry Jeudy. And they still retained Elijah Moore. Still had David Njoku, and they had that defense led by Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward. You tell me what you think about these Minnesota Vikings. Excuse me, about these Cleveland Browns.
So, all right, the Cleveland Browns, I have a lot more faith in them. They have skill at every single position. They got little bang up injuries going on right now. But hold on. My question is, I was a guy who still believed in Deshaun Watson last year.
Okay.
Now it's shit or get off the pot for Deshaun Watson, and rightfully so. I think what they did in the quarterback room, I don't think they should have released Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco did them I'm a Ravens fan, so maybe I'm biased, but Joe Flacco did some justice for them.
Mm-hmm.
He did a lot of work for them. But what they did in a quarterback room this year, I think it was kind of genius. We know Jameis Winston has that dog in him. We know Jameis Winston has thrown for 5,000 yards, which is not an easy feat. And he did it with a very crowded wide receiver core, a very good wide receiver core. This wide receiver core isn't as good, but we talking about
It's a good wide receiver core.
It is. It's just not as good as the Buccaneers when he did it. I mean, like I will not put Cooper on Mike Evans's level, right? But Cooper is just under him. Jerry Jeudy, like this is a very
I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to say 1A, 1B, but this is a close second. I mean, a close second to that. So if Deshaun Watson they do have the propensity to play him more than if I'm the coach, I'm giving him 2 starts, right? 2 starts because I done had you on the roster fucking 10 years and you ain't did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving 2 starts and then I'm going down my quarterback room because I really like Jameis Winston. I think he has the ability. He didn't have the maturity. If Jameis Winston can't do it, I really, really like Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley, he gets the blame for losing that game in Baltimore, but they didn't have no wide receivers for him. I mean, I like Tyler Huntley. I think it was intelligent to go get someone who's been in the Baltimore system, and you guys see Baltimore twice, so that takes some pressure off you playing against a rival. I mean, from top to bottom, offense, this team is there. They're just waiting on one position, and what they did was they went and got 3 different capable guys at that position. If Deshaun Watson proved that he is who he was, this is his last year. If Jameis Winston wants to prove he still belongs in the league, you got a complete team. If Tyler Huntley, well, maybe we'll see that maybe it's Lamar Jackson's a system guy, and that's blasphemy coming from me. But I feel as though they made these moves so that they would be able to move forward in the future. Because right now you got a lot of money tied up in Deshaun for another year, right? Mm-hmm. It might be 2 more years. I think it's just 1. And then you got Jameis Winston for next to nothing. You got Tyler Huntley for next to nothing. And if you're going to move forward, you got 2 younger, capable guys. We'll see what we have. I really like this move. Because of the quarterback issues, I still see them coming in 4th in the division. But if anyone lands on the higher end of good with the talent they have behind them, this could easily be the 2nd or 3rd team in the division, in a division that traditionally takes 3 people to the playoffs.
So first of all, that was a brilliant take, and that's how you ended up on the show to begin with. Okay, give a round of applause for Czar on that take right there. Beautiful, beautiful. Hey. Yeah, man, I agree. I think Deshaun Watson is the only question mark on this whole roster. If he's bad, they're gonna be in 4th place. But I really do believe if he's 80% of the Deshaun Watson in Houston, I think they're a playoff team. And if he's the guy that he was in Houston, I think they're a Super Bowl contender. And that's the truth. That's how much I really believe in him. Now, however, I got a question for you. Do you remember any quarterbacks who started off good and then like tailed off in the middle of the career and then were able to bring it back up? And I don't want that to be confused with quarterbacks that started off slow and then figured it out and then were good for the rest of their career. I'm talking about quarterbacks that were good and then they went down and then they came back up. Do you know any quarterbacks that did that?
One comes to mind, and I might have the wrong name, but it was a Denver Broncos quarterback who, as a rookie, was phenomenal. He fell off during his career. They realized he had diabetes. Then he was more productive back at the end of his career. And I'm saying that only to say this. Jameis Winston's career went down, right? They realized the boy's blind. He gets the corrective LASIK surgery, and I believe he has the ability, but he hasn't been given a chance. I can say the same thing with Deshaun because you already say the quarterback position is a mental position. The whole world is calling you all sorts of Weinsteins or whatever, blah, blah, blah. You got all these lawsuits, all this other stuff. That's a lot of pressure. He comes down. If he can snap out of that, I believe they have 2 quarterbacks on the roster who they could do that. I want to say the dude's name is Jake Plummer, but I might be wrong with the quarterback who had the diabetes. But it was a Denver Broncos quarterback. He came out the same year. I want to say the same year as Joe Flacco did. I forget where he played college ball.
Jake Plummer came out because he played in Arizona before he was.
What was the quarterback?
Well, you keep looking that up because the reason why I even brought that up was because usually, and Jameis is another example of it, when a quarterback kind of dips, I don't really remember them resurging their career. And that kind of makes me feel like maybe I shouldn't have as high hopes or have high belief in what Deshaun Watson is capable of at this point in his career because it did like fall off. I haven't seen that happen with a quarterback where, you know what I mean? For me,
Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler, he had a phenomenal rookie year. Then he fell off. They realized he was diabetic, and then he came back. He wasn't great. He was always
with Chicago, you mean?
Jay Cutler
Because he
maybe
went to
came back.
Chicago. He went to
Yeah,
Chicago.
he did. Oh, matter of fact, now you want to talk about you got. I mean, but a lot of those dudes they don't get the chance, like Kyle Orton and all those dudes.
Kyle Orton
And
never was really that guy.
was it Kyle? What was the guy after Kyle Orton? The guy that took Minnesota to the playoffs.
Oh, you're talking about the little guy. He was a Browns backup too. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking. When they went to the NFC Championship game, the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl. I guess
Yeah,
that guy. I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of his name.
he played. I think he was a backup to Kyle Orton too. The guy I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's not the point because we got to move on anyway. But I understand what you're saying. But yeah, that's basically my holdup when it comes to Deshaun Watson. Is it over? You know what I mean? And I'm just the last one to really come to terms with it.
Like I said, if I were the owner, GM, whatever, he has 2 games, and if I don't see magic, not magic, if I don't see production in 2 games, I gotta get off. I gotta get off the bandwagon.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's stay in your NFC in your AFC North, and let's go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, of course, Pittsburgh. They of course got Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Still have Najee Harris and George Pickens. And their and Pat Fryermuth and that offensive line is actually very good. Excuse me. And that defense led by T.J. Watt and Joey Porter Jr. and Minkah Fitzpatrick, you know what I mean? And of course, they added Patrick Queen from your Baltimore Ravens. So, what do you think about the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I think if Russ is the Russ from even last year, this is a scary team. Russ had 0 defense last year and still put up very decent numbers on a team that I don't know. Maybe I think Alabama could have beat Denver last year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think of several, Michigan could have beat them last year. There were several college teams that could have beat that Broncos team. I think, and I really like this. I'm very disappointed that other teams didn't go after Russ because although Russ gets the blame for the losses, that offense did not look as bad as that record does. But that defense couldn't catch a cold. They couldn't stop a bloody nose. My man Russ still did his numbers last year. I feel like this receiving core, although it is not proven, I really like George Pickens. They could have got them a little more help over there, but at least you have a great defense, more than capable running game. You have a very productive running room. Yeah, Cordell Patterson as your 3rd string running back. Come on, and he can catch the ball if you need him to. Like Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson was. This is a rookie. I like. I'm not supposed to. I'm a Ravens fan through and through.
Right.
I'll mess with the dirty towel. I think my man got robbed for the defensive player of the year last year. But them Watt boys, they get enough awards anyway. Like they'll be all right.
Okay. I see where you're going with them. So for me, like in the news right now, this Pittsburgh is talking about getting Brandon Ayuk. I think they do need Brandon Ayuk, and you'd be the first one that can hold me accountable. I'm the one that does not think having a wide receiver puts you over the edge for
on this team.
But yeah, that's exactly my point. But on this team,
if you can keep Pickens and Brandon Ayuk, yes. But if you're trading Brandon Ayuk for Pickens,
no. But that's not what's on the table. That's not what's on the table. they would be having George. If they get Brandon Ayuk, they will have George Pickens and Brandon Ayuk. And I think Russ for me, that would be something interesting for me, and that would make them scary for me. As currently constructed, no, I kind of see their ceiling because they only have one legitimate wide receiving threat. And when you look at teams that if the quarterback is not able to get the best out of the other talent, which Russell Wilson has never been that quarterback to get more out of a wide receiver who might be a little bit more limited, I think that makes, as currently constructed, it hard for them to compete. Even with this defense, Najee Harris, I like him. Not in love with Najee Harris. To be honest with you, I've you know what I mean? So he's supposed to be something for the Pittsburgh Steelers that he's just not. He's strong. He's strong getting 2 yards. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing as like when they had like Jerome Bettis, who was strong and getting 4 yards, or Le'Veon Bell, who was a lot very versatile but strong and can still make 4 yards out of nothing. He's not that guy. So for me, Pittsburgh, as currently constructed, I would say that I put them closer to the bottom of the division. Like I'm thinking closer to like
So,
7 to 10. But
so
I
I just
like
wanted to say though,
good.
we know Russ isn't that guy to get more out of a receiver than he's capable of, right? But we also know that the Steelers have two different identities. You have the wide receiver talented core, right? Where the later Super Bowls, showed off these wide receivers. The earlier Super Bowls, they didn't have superstar wide receivers. This is kind of like an early Steelers / this is a Super Bowl team in Steelers country. And I'm only saying that because, we go head to head with them boys.
Okay, so I agree with what you're saying, but the Steelers, every time that this is a Super Bowl roster for the Steelers, their quarterback is an edge for them. That don't mean they have a quarterback that's overly dynamic, but they always have a quarterback that could do something with a wide receiver that is like, he's just okay. And I'm just saying, for me right now, for what I'm saying, Russ is not going to be able to do that with Van Jefferson or any other wide receiver.
I get what you're saying, but you got to remember, Ben Roethlisberger, he's never been a dynamic quarterback. He
threw for 5,000 yards in the league.
Once.
But you said never was dynamic. But then he was also like a 4,500 yard quarterback, like another 3 or 4 years as well.
Like they didn't make the playoffs when he threw for 5,000. I don't know what, like, here we go. I'll tell you right now. So they made the playoffs 11
I'll tell you
through
Ben Roethlisberger's stats.
I'm looking at right now, 11 through 17. Yeah, they didn't even make the playoffs the year he threw for 5,000 yards. You know what I'm saying? This team is designed. Ben Roethlisberger is a bigger version of Russell Wilson because I feel like he scrambles.
I'll tell you Ben Roethlisberger's stats while you're sitting there. So yes, in between 2004 until 2008, his high was 3,500, but he had 3,000 yards pretty much all of them years. Then in 2009, he had 4,300 yards. Then in 10, he dripped that back down to about 3,200 yards. Then in 11, he had 4,000 yards. Then in 12, he had about 3,200 yards. Then in 13, he had 4,200 yards. And 14 would be the year they had about 5,000. It was 4,952 yards. Then he had 3,900 yards, which is almost 4,000. Then he had 3,800 yards, which is another 4,000. Then he had another one in 2018 where he had 5,129 yards. So I'm saying he had a lot of years where he was going close to that 4,000 to 5,000 yard mark. That's dynamic.
I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is they don't win Super Bowls when he throws for all those yards. They win Super Bowls in the years he throws for less yards.
Correct.
So so what I'm saying is the team is designed to win when Ben Roethlisberger let the defense and the run game speak for them. The defense is there. We know that. The run game is there. Ben Roethlisberger and Russell Wilson are very much alike because they're hard to take down. Like Russell Wilson scrambles to get more time to throw the ball. Ben Roethlisberger got more time because he was hard to take down because he was so big. What I'm saying is the team as constructed is a Super Bowl team in Pittsburgh. That formula doesn't work everywhere. It does work in Pittsburgh. Pot heavy run game, great defense, and a manager who can avoid big mistakes. That's all Ben Roethlisberger was. He has 2 years where he's the most dynamic quarterback in football. 5,000, 4,900, right? His numbers aren't that much higher than Russell Wilson's. His completion percent, none of that's so much higher. I'm saying on this team, this could be a dangerous squad because you're not going to turn the ball over as much, and you still have T.J. Watt and crew. Now you secured teams running over you because you got Patrick Queen from the Ravens, right? So 2 teams in that division have gone after the division leader to make them weaker. You got the backup quarterback who knows all the offense, and you got the center, the second most important linebacker on the Ravens. That's all I'm saying. Okay. This team is capable of being dangerous if it shakes out right. As a Ravens, I like the fact that there's a quarterback controversy. I need the team to be fucked up. But I know that this is a Super Bowl team in Steelers history.
Okay. That's a fair point. All right, let's jump over to the Chicago Bears. Let's go back to the NFC North. So, of course, they drafted number 1 overall Caleb Williams, have DeAndre Swift as their running back, the wide receiver core having DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze. And that defense, which was a top 10 or top 12 defense from last year, but bringing everybody back. Okay. So let me get the Bears real quick, then I'm gonna let you go. You might call me crazy. I can see the lane. First of all, the Bears, I'm putting them in my playoffs. I'm not going to have any suspense there. I'm not only just putting them in my playoffs, I actually kind of see the lane where they could come out of the NFC. Yes, the Chicago Bears. I think that this roster has a lot of continuity. I liked what they did at the end of the year. They ended up winning like 5 of their last 7 games to end the year. Defense was definitely good. I see their limitations as well, but there's a lot of dynamic pieces to go in this team. And if Caleb Williams is ready to go, and that coaching staff is good enough, yeah, I absolutely can see the lane where the Bears are a real threat for the NFC crown. You can go now.
I 100% agree with you, but it normally takes about a year for shit like this to happen. Now, I might be wrong. They could be the Texans from last year. I mean, they could come out and be dynamic, and they did everything right. So now we're trusting in coaching to be right. And I haven't seen good coaching in Chicago my entire life. I like Lovie.
Smith was a good coach, man.
I like Smith. I like Lovie Smith.
He just got old as a coach in philosophy fast, but he was
I think that he stuck with that quarterback too long, and that's what got him out of there. If he would have made a move from Kyle Orton early in his career,
but it was Jay Cutler first, and Jay Cutler didn't pan out. Then he had to figure it out with Kyle Orton.
I thought he had Kyle Orton first. I mean, I like Lovie Smith. The Bears organization, it reminds me of the 76ers. I mean, like it reminds like it's a historic franchise, but they've been bad for so long that they can't seem to get out of their own way. I like what they did. They put their money where their mouth was. They did everything right. They got DeAndre Swift. They got Keenan Allen. They made all the right moves to make this a dangerous team. I have them 3rd in the division only because I mean, it's easy to look good in the preseason. It's easy to look good when you're only playing a couple of quarters. It's easy. Like when because this is the same Caleb Williams who wasn't the star-studded man in college last year. I mean, like, all I'm saying is when you come in and you think that you're the man, you demand so much. I don't know. You got to show me something.
That's fair.
Like
That's fair. That's
that.
fair.
that
We're gonna try to
I,
get one more ring before we make this break, just to let you know.
okay, I like this roster is constructed. Shit's beautiful, but I'm not sold on it yet.
I understand. I'm not mad at that take. So let's stay in the North and let's go with the Green Bay Packers, having Jordan Love and them beating the Cowboys from last year in the playoffs, bringing in Josh Jacobs, still have AJ Dillon, retaining Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, offensive line, that defense being what it is. Yeah, so I'll give you the Packers really fast too, so I can give you a little bit more time. I think the Packers, I just think as a roster, they're really good. They actually kind of remind me of how the New England Patriots like had their roster, where it was like a whole bunch of good players, no real holes, but a whole bunch of good players with ceilings and a quarterback that was a little bit more exceptional. You know what I mean? So you being the one who put me on Jordan Love, and I'm saying that in public record now. You being the one who told me first, Jordan Love actually he's going to be something. I don't see a scenario where they're not a real threat. I'm just curious to see how their young players step up from last year to this year.
I want to shout the young boy Bo Melton. He's from our home county, Atlantic County, New Jersey.
That's fact.
He's I want to say he's a fourth string wide receiver, and he will be a starter sooner than later. I really like the upgraded running back. I really like the wide receiver core. I really like everything. I like the fact that they got the contract done early, no dispute. I think that there's something to be learned from all the other teams in the NFL, the other 31 teams, where you get your guy, you let him sit and learn, and you bring him in, but you don't rush him in, because I feel like it's like watching a pot of water boil. When you bring a guy in and expect him to make that leap in 1 year, the fact that he got to sit behind Aaron Rodgers, the fact that, when Aaron Rodgers was being Aaron Rodgers, they said, well, we do got that guy that you didn't want us to draft, but we anyway. I think Jordan Love shows a lot of maturity and poise. I love this team as constructed, and I don't think this is the second best team in the division. This is a 1A, 1B situation. I feel as though if they upset the Lions, it ain't an upset. Right. You know what I mean? Like we saw what they did last year, and I feel like they was a couple of plays away from beating the 49ers, but football's football. That Joshua Jacobs upgrade, and now you got to remember Joshua Jacobs was somewhere with a terrible system. Everything was collapsing. 1 year he'd have a quarterback, next year he wouldn't have a receiver. I mean, like it was just crazy there. He still was productive all them years. Now he has a complete team, and he just gets to go out there and be himself. I love this team. This team, if this team makes it to the Super Bowl, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised, but I wouldn't be that surprised. You know what I mean?
I understand. All right, cool. You know what? I think we got time to fit in one more before our break, and we're gonna push through this. We're gonna push through this. All right, we're gonna get to the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, we got Joe Burrow healthy. They actually got Zach Moss from my Colts. I actually really like Zach Moss, to be honest with you. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins is back. You know what I mean? Mike Krzyzewski as their tight end. I love what they did with their offensive line. And that defense, of course, led by Trey Hendrickson and others to go with that. I think because what I love about the Bengals is that they focused on the offensive line. And I always was like, they're going to do the same thing to Joe Burrow that my Colts did to Andrew Luck. And it showed to me the obvious weakness that you have to have an offensive line for your quarterback, and these weapons don't matter as much. So the fact that they went out and did that, I really like it. And I think that they're pretty much the class of the AFC North.
I really do like a lot of moves they made. Zach Moss is a super talented running back.
You got about 3 minutes too.
I don't know if he's better. Like I mean, I guess he's a mixing type dude. I mean, Zach Moss was the number 2 running back.
I'm not a mixing guy though. Like people be telling me about this Joe Mixon like he's something special. And I'm like, he's okay.
The thing about Joe Mixon is he's a Swiss Army knife. He's not a home run hitter. He does everything well, and he does a little bit of everything. He's not I'm gonna go downhill. Sometimes he goes downhill and surprise you. He's not the fastest running back. Sometimes he has speed and surprise you. Like, I fucking hate the guy, but I gotta respect him.
Right.
And at the end of the day,
right.
I'm always like, I was never really a big fan of him, but he's the guy in the room that you respect. He's a hard hat, come to work every day dude, and I respect that, even though he never worked out for my team. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are going against him, and he always gets his numbers. He's not 125 yards a game. He's not 100 yards a game. He'll get you a solid 75, 80. He'll get like 2 catches. Like, Joe, I like him.
Okay.
I don't know if this running back crew. I mean, they tried to do some upgrades at the offensive line. I appreciate that for Joe Burrow, but we also realize that I want to say T. Higgins, did he get his contract?
I know he's back in camp, but I don't know if what is going on.
I love when people are upset. I love it. Keep on. Don't pay that nigga. Don't pay him. Don't pay him. Fuck him. He don't deserve to be on the team. Cincinnati, you heard it here first. Get rid of him too. You know what I mean? Like, this team, I feel as though they're losing talent, and they're going to lose more talent next year, because I don't think they're going to pay T. Higgins, because they want to pay Jamar Chase. And you had the best receiver core in football. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and what's the third boy they just lost?
Boyd?
Yes, I like Boyd. I like, for number 3, Boyd was up there. Like, I don't know who this Iosovas guy is. I don't know him. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're
like
losing.
So if it was me, I would actually, honestly, if it were me and this was my team, I would actually trade Jamar Chase and keep T. Higgins and use what I could get for Jamar Chase to now pull out this roster even more, and I would have drafted another wide receiver.
You know, that would have been brilliant if you kept Tyler Boyd too, because you could have got the world.
And that's what I'm saying. That's all the stuff that goes into it. So that's how I would have done that.
Or what you do is you extend them a year before it's time, because the market's going to be the market. If you extend them a year before their time, you give them the extension early. Guess what? Now you're below market value, and they're happy. But you wait until the end. Like, now, the ceiling's $50 million for a wide receiver.
GMs are very slow on identifying, okay, this person is a part of our future. We need to get a contract in their face now. Let them say no 2 years early to a contract so that we can find out a middle ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, this team is star-studded, but at the same time, you know, you already know you're one injury away every year, but now you're away and one less player. So this team should be number 1, but it might be number 3.
It could be.
All right, dead ass. Might be number. It could be number 4 the way that AFC North is set up. I'll put it to you like
the way the NFC North, the AFC North is set up. That's a crapshoot right there. I don't know how you just feel confident there. Let's go with your Ravens. I don't know if I wanted to make it about your Ravens and save them for last, but you know, I just feel as though we should probably talk about it. All right, so let me prepare you. So let me just go first. First of all, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, and Isaiah Likely, that defense. So the Ravens are on my short list of potential bust candidates. I know, don't kill me yet. Just hear me out. So, first of all, that defense, your defense led the league in sacks last year. And then you lose 2 pieces off of that defensive line. I'm not saying they're great pieces. I'm just saying your defense led the league in sacks this year. I don't expect that to return to that same favor. You also lost Patrick Queen off of that defense, and I actually do think that's a pretty big loss. So defensively, you've lost about 3 pieces. They weren't your top 3 pieces on defense, but I do think I don't expect the production to be exactly what it was from those positions from last year to this year. And on offense, I think Lamar Jackson is phenomenal. He's exceptional. He's out of this world. But just everything else that I have to say about the Ravens, I think for me to feel great about the Ravens, it all has to go this way. And I'm just saying I just don't feel as though it's going to all go this way. Like Derrick Henry has to still be like an 1,100-yard back. I don't know, and he's 30 now, and like it was his 9th or 10th year. I don't know if he's still that guy. We'll see. But he has to do that. Mark Andrews has to return to being like around like 1,000-yard receiver. Zay Flowers has to develop into being like a 1,300-yard receiver, and Isaiah Likely pretty much has to have about like 700 or 800 yards receiving for them to be a real playoff threat for me. And that's just being a playoff threat. I just don't think all of that's going to happen like that. So you're taking a little bit of a step back defensively. You're taking a step back with the pass rush. You're taking a step back with leadership a little bit because you still have Roquan Smith. Offensively, I just think you're betting on players that are either a little bit more prone to injury or a little bit older or a combination of it, and Zay Flowers.
Yeah. Bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on. I love it. I love it. I will be the first to admit it's either going to be real bad or real good.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a believer in Patrick Smith, so Patrick Queen, so that don't mean nothing to me.
Oh, and you lost your defensive coordinator too. Your defensive coordinator is going too. He's not a head coach for the Seahawks. So, and you lost your defensive coordinator.
So let's just remember one thing. Every time we run a defense coordinator gets a name. All right. We don't lose a whole lot of offense coordinators. We go through offensive coordinators left and right. But for some reason, the Ravens over the last 20 years have been a top 10 defense every year, regardless of who's calling the plays on defense. Right. So that doesn't bother me. I want to say this. We've had Patrick Queen. We drafted him. We had him for 4 years. And what we realized 2 years ago was he is not the guy we thought he was. Mm-hmm. He comes from a big-time program at LSU. Mm-hmm. He's a big-time run stopper. He's a big body. He just ain't all here mentally. We needed Roquan Smith to make him a Pro Bowler. The Steelers, they might have the personnel to do that. They might not, because I don't know who is their play caller on their defensive end. You not like with a super talented team like that, I can tell you Roquan Smith is our signal caller. I don't know exactly who's the signal caller. I don't know if they're expecting Roquan Smith to be able to do that or have that instinct. But I know as a Ravens fan, because when we picked him up, I was like, we got our run stopper, and he ain't stopped shit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We needed Roquan Smith to elevate his game because, again, we had lost, I forget the boy's name, Alabama player. He went, I think maybe to the Jets or something like that. He was a signal caller, smaller guy, but he couldn't run stop. I'm not worried about the defense. I feel as though the defense is solid. I'm a big guy on history, right? Traditionally, not traditionally. Our team is a defense first team traditionally. Yes, traditionally. However, we want to a kind of a hybrid. We won both of our Super Bowls on the back of a big running back, a good running back and a great defense. The defense still might be great, and the thing that's going to make the defense great is
say Joe Flacco there. That's just a little comment between me and you. You can continue now, sir.
Jersey Joe Flacco, remember it. He's from South Jersey. You want to put?
No, you said what you said. You said what you said. You keep going.
Even Joe Flacco knows. Ray Lewis is on both of them teams. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is our defense is solid. Our run game is solider. Like, it's more solidified than it's been. And the first time Lamar Jackson won an MVP, you got to remember, we had a 1,000-yard rusher. That might be what takes the takes the heat off of Lamar Jackson as a quarterback. I him and Derrick Henry might be the perfect tandem. I personally, I thought we should have kept the running backs we had, or went and got some free agent running backs, because there's a million guys out there who ain't getting paid, and I think we should have.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. I guess he just had some technical difficulties. We were listening to what Cesar was saying. But you know what I mean? That stuff happens with technical stuff. So we just gonna keep it going. Don't worry, he came right back in. He came right back in. See, listen, you had everybody scared. See, I had to explain to them. I said, see, this is life for me. I say one thing somebody don't like, and then they just leave. You see what I'm saying?
Call bad, but we had the Lamar Jackson's first MVP season. We had 1,000-yard rusher. Derrick Henry's 1,000-yard rusher. When Lamar Jackson had that first MVP season with that 1,000-yard rusher, he was being revitalized in the Ravens system because we had old boy from the Saints. The levels is different. Lamar is more everything, and Derrick Henry is more everything. Derrick Henry is no Ingram. He is Ingram 2.0, right? Okay. Lamar Jackson ain't that same young Lamar Jackson. I like both of those. I like both moves. I personally didn't want it to happen. I thought we should have kept the running backs the same, because Lamar Jackson will run half the time anyway. I thought we should have got another wide receiver to spread the ball.
I agree. I agree.
I'm at home on my couch.
And that's kind of my thing. And because you did not get that, my thought is Derrick Henry better run for 1,100 yards, because you need to make you need for the league to not know what to do with both of them tight ends on the field at the same time. You need that. You need that. And because if Derrick Henry don't provide you with that.
But it might just be the fear of Derrick Henry that does it. You're gonna put 8 in a box when Derrick Henry's on the field. If you put Likely and Andrews and you got Zay Flowers out there, everybody's getting man-to-man coverage. You still need 8 in the box to stop a Derrick Henry or spy on Lamar Jackson.
But what I'm saying is, or do you? My thing is this: if I can go nickel and stop the run, well, now Derrick Lively is going to get a corner on him. Now he's going to get a nickel corner on him. And that's what I'm saying. Now you starting that face that you're looking at is the exact situation that I think I'm not 100% sure y'all not going to be in.
Listen, I don't think a nickel corner can stick with Likely. Like Likely is Andrews, but he Likely is pure.
Or put him on Andrews, but either or, nickel corner can do just fine on one of them two gentlemen.
I don't think so. Let's see, how big is Isaiah Likely? I just want to see. Isaiah Likely, 6'4", 250. Nickel corner can't handle that. And he's athletic as hell. You saw him jump out the gates last year. Come on now.
Okay.
How big is Mark Andrews?
Okay. Or safety. Okay.
6'5", 250. Come on. I'm not worried about that. Like all
right, cool.
You need
all right. I hear you. We gotta move on though. But I hear what you say. Okay.
I'm just telling you, it's either gonna be real good or real bad. Last time Lamar Jackson
was
1,000-yard rusher.
I agree.
And that was the one corner. I mean, one tight end, and we didn't have an Isaiah Flowers type receiver. I feel the only thing I'm not sure about the rookie linebacker, but he's there with the best signal caller in NFL. So we might not lead the league in sacks, but we'll be top 5 in sacks, guaranteed. You heard it here first.
Okay, top 5 in sacks. I'm curious to see that. All right, cool. Well, let's end up with these Detroit Lions, who I actually do think are one of the Super Bowl threats. Definitely, I expect them. I expect them to be back in the NFC Championship game. Remember last year I predicted this. I predicted them, and I got a lot of backlash when I said Detroit Lions are going to the NFC Championship game, and people were just like, no, they're Detroit. But I will admit there's 4 teams in the NFC that I'm looking at now, because you got San Fran, Detroit. I'm putting Chicago as one of them teams that I think can really go there, and also Green Bay. And I think the fact that 3 of them are in the same division, I think, really makes it interesting. But I like Jared Goff. I think, of course, he has a ceiling, but I love how much he's getting paid for what weapons are around him. You see how I always like to say that preference with quarterbacks. I don't like when quarterbacks get paid top of the league money and they gotta go win a Super Bowl because they need some stuff. Jared Goff needed some stuff, and it shows. Okay, the only thing that I actually don't, because I think they might have like the best offensive line in football. Of course, having David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs as their running backs, that their running backs is deep. Amara, you know what I mean? Jameson Williams is stepping into his own. Aiden Hutchinson leading that defense. The only thing that I don't love, and it's going to be the same thing, I don't love that they didn't get another pass rusher. I don't know why teams don't look at offensive line and pass rusher as after quarterback the next 2 things that you have to have. Like without that presence of having like a top 5 pass rush, I mean, as a defense in the league, like you're like the ceiling is created. And if you want to get over that ceiling, you need that other pass rusher. Now they got Marcus Davenport. He's never really shown anything from New Orleans as a guy who could be that second pass rusher like that. But I mean, they did something. But I just would have loved to see them get another one. And then now they're depending on DJ Reader to be that second guy and Marcus Davenport. And I'm just like, we'll see. You know, they're good with the ceiling, you know? So, but I love this team. I think their roster, just same thing I would say. They're good at every position. They're great, though, at certain positions. I just wish they were great at pass rusher.
Hey, I mean, you don't have a whole lot of room to go out and get that extra pass rusher, especially with the caliber of pass rusher that they would have had. Like, if you're going to go upgrade a pass rusher, you're going to have to spend a lot of money based on the way the market is. And, you know, you're going to get them for a year or two and then worry about whether you can pay your quarterback or your receivers. Like, it's a lot going into that. I can understand why they didn't. You know, some of these moves, they like. I really like Detroit. Shut up, Midnight. I really like Detroit. I like
the podcast. What you talking about?
I really like Detroit. I feel like they have one of the better rosters in football. I feel like, you know, like there are 3 rosters in the NFC North that are capable of being number 1. I wouldn't be surprised if Packers win. I mean, if Caleb Williams is who they say he is, they could win. Right now, the Lions, they have the throne. I don't think Amon St. Brown is going to be denied. I think he's in that top 5 wide receiver scenario. He's definitely, I think, because of Justin Jefferson's situation, he's going to be the best receiver in this division. I like Sam Laporte. Like, this team is phenomenal. They're resilient.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Jared Goff might be that guy. Remember, you asked me what quarterback was good, fell off, and got good again. Jared Goff kind of fits that too. Hopefully,
that's not bad. See, this is why you here. You see, once again, give it up for my man. Go ahead. Go ahead.
My boy Jared Goff. Like, I liked him as a Ram. I feel like he got cheated out of a Super Bowl because they didn't give Matt Stafford the same team. They went out and got extra help on defense for Matt Stafford's team, and the team actually won on a defensive play.
Bad.
Like,
Bad
but Matt Stafford gets to pat himself on the back, and now he's not trash. But, bro, you had, I think, 3 of the worst seasons in football history. Like, they had like a Owen.
But that's actually always been my point when I've said anything about quarterbacks. It was basically that, well, Matt Stafford, when he won the Super Bowl, he made a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but there was definitely like 10 to 12 quarterbacks getting paid more than him, you know? So he wasn't making as much as everybody else to win that Super Bowl, and that allows that quarterback that is talented, that is overly talented, but to have a team around him to erase that, but you can continue that.
Yeah. This team is solid, and I mean, Detroit finally has something to play for. I mean, They do have one of the better offensive lines. I like the team is super young, super young. I think Jared Goff might be the oldest person on his team, right? Like super young, super resilient. All the moves he made was perfect. I mean, I don't know who they picked up in the draft, but like I really do like the team. Like I like Amon St. Brown. Like the fact that he played with that injury last year, he's going to be better this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right.
Like I think this team is it. They should win a division. Green Bay, I like Green Bay in the division, and if Caleb Williams is who they say he is, which I don't believe he is, not right out the gate, he could win. But I really think this is the division that gets multiple teams in the playoffs, not the NFC East.
No, the NFC East is only getting one in, I think. And we'll
Yeah.
talk more about that. Yeah, man, that's good stuff right there. That's good stuff right there. So let's just use that momentum and transfer right over to the bus candidates. So I want you to say your list the way you said it. So my thoughts on bus candidates or the teams that I chose were teams that people look at to far exceed. And I actually like can see more scenarios than not that like there's a regression. So I have 3 teams on my bus candidates. The 2 that I think are contenders for this more than I'm just sold on it. Like I said the Ravens and the Dallas Cowboys are another team that I'm kind of I could see a lot of scenarios where they do not make the playoffs. I mean that's that. But the one I'm more confident on, the one I'm standing on a little bit more, is the Miami Dolphins. I think they just fell off the cliff last year. I think their roster is worse this year than it was last year. So where we talked about the pieces that Baltimore lost on defense, they weren't the niche pin pieces. In Miami and the Dolphins, those pieces were the niche pin defense pieces to that defense. Christian Wilkinson, Xavier Howard, and there was another one. Please excuse me for not remember his name. The only one that they retained was Jalen Ramsey, and they got him last year. So and then they didn't do anything to really shore up that offensive line for me. And I think they're going to go.
They gave my boy some Taekwondo lessons.
Yeah, they better give him some Taekwondo lessons. He gonna have to fight. He gonna have to chop somebody or something. But that's what I'm saying. You got Tua, who's like one good hit away from not playing football anymore, and you're not going to shore up the offensive line. This is the formula to me that fucks up quarterbacks all the time. The offensive line is, but you have these exceptional weapons, and you think because that's going to happen, you're not going to run the ball enough to negate certain things. And yeah, I think they've come out of the playoffs definitely. Miami is a team I think definitely come out of the playoffs.
I think if the Cowboys don't fucking give CeeDee Lamb his bread, they're 100%. They might not even be a franchise next year. They valued at $10 billion. If they don't pay CeeDee Lamb, I don't think there's a Cowboys fan left in America.
They'll find a way to still say we the best. they'll find a way to bring up 1995. Don't worry.
If they don't pay, I think Jerry Jones is gonna have to move to like Hawaii or some shit, or maybe like Guam. Like, CeeDee Lamb is more than the heart and soul of that team. Like, I mean, it is no. He might be more important than Dak Prescott, and that's the quarterback. I mean, but at the end of the day, they should have paid the boy early. That's my major bust team.
So the Cowboys is one of your bust teams as well.
Absolutely. I gotta rock my Ravens. I think my Ravens. I think they did the right thing because initially I thought that was a fucking terrible pickup. Why are we getting a running back when our quarterbacks are running back? That's what's going through my head. We could have went and got Tyler Boyd as the number 2, T. Higgins. We could have went. We could have got Marquise Brown. We could have shored up our wide receiver core and been scary. But I think the organization did right. His first MVP season, he had this situation, a 2 tight end situation. I think that's going to work out for us. I think the team that's going to have the hardest thing to worry about is the Buffalo Bills. Like Josh Allen is a super duper talented dude. Super duper talented. You can't take it away from him. He can run like any mobile quarterback out there. He's big, like Big Ben. He's strong, but they didn't give him a fucking thing. And I really like that rookie they picked up. I love all his sound bites. I love all his interviews. I don't think he's going to be able to replace all them wide receivers they lost. Like,
So Buffalo's very interesting. So this is very interesting because I actually think this is going to be Josh Allen's MVP season. To be honest with you, now you hear where I'm coming from. So so I was just writing a note to my assistant. Yeah, I think anytime you look at when a quarterback or a team loses wide receivers and they lost Gibbs or not Gibbs, what's his name? Gabe Davis, and they also lost Diggs. That's why I said that, Stephon Diggs. And I'm cool with that. And I understand exactly what you're saying. So what I'm saying is you expect such a big drop off. And I actually think that it's not as big of a drop off as you think. I think they took a real effort last year to run the ball more and allow that to do that. Plus, they have a defense that always, for some reason, is like a top 5 defense. Now, do they have a pass rush? No. Do I think they're a real Super Bowl threat or AFC threat? No. But I think, yeah, I'm thinking Josh Allen wins the MVP this year, and they're definitely going to be back in the playoffs.
Here's my issue with that, right? Like, all right, I understand you have Miami dropping off. I understand the Patriots are 2 or 3 seasons away from building, right? But you also have the Jets possibly going to a Super Bowl.
But we got to slow on that now because they don't seem like they're able to do that. So Super Bowl, yes, we're about to jump into the playoff predictions, but the Super Bowl, I don't like this much noise from my Super Bowl participants. But
yeah,
we continue.
I feel as though Josh Allen has seen his peers and Patrick Mahomes win multiple Super Bowls and MVP, Lamar Jackson win multiple MVPs. He's seen his peers elevate to a station where he was a solidified spot. He was arguably top 2, top 3 quarterbacks in the league. Now, because of his lack of winning in the playoffs, or his lack of production during the regular season, or because the overspending on players that never show up. Now you have other players, and like I'm telling you, there's a lot of players that I will say are his peers, whereas a year, 2 years ago, I would have said
he's better than
2 other quarterbacks.
I get what you're saying, which is exactly why I think this actually is his MVP season, because I think this is the first time where he's going to start to catch people off guard because he lost a lot of pieces. That's why I think he's
my words. This is RG3 syndrome. Josh Allen's going to be doing too much, and he might, and I don't wish this on a man by no means, he might end up injured because he's going to be trying to be Superman on that field. And we all know what happens to Superman. He starts a podcast, and he be down there in North Carolina, Georgia, wherever he is, with his crazy hair. Like, listen, you can't.
I started a podcast, okay? Don't make me reveal my S on my chest too, okay?
You talking about Cam Newton, my boy. Cam Newton went out there and he tried to do everything, and it messed up his shoulder, messed up his knee. He needed to. Without the pieces around Josh Allen, I don't think that he can do it. Like,
okay.
Like he has a decent running back, but Josh likes to be mobile. Josh likes to jump over people. Josh he has a motor, and what that franchise should have did was they should have gave him some help so that he doesn't he knows when a let a play die, and he's not that guy. He wants his MVP, he wants his Super Bowl, and he wants it now. And you didn't help him at all. Y'all could have went and got something for some of the pieces, and y'all didn't. Like even the defense. They picked up what's his name? He never played for them last year.
Von Miller.
Yeah. Like,
I mean, he's still on the roster. That's what I'm saying. I don't think they solved their pass rush. That's why they're not a Super Bowl contender to me. But I like the construction of a team with wide receivers that aren't top 5 wide receivers more than I like teams with that. The offensive line is solid. The defensive line is sturdy, but not exceptional. The defense is is good. They have one. They might have. They're gonna have one of the top 3 tight ends in the NFL in Dawson Knox. I mean, yeah, I like how they're constructed, and they're running the ball more.
But how are they so cash strapped if they didn't pay nobody? That's the thing that got me like, they're so cash strapped and they didn't pay nobody. Like, and I don't understand how you think to win like that, but that's on you. I think the Bills are going to have a tough way to go because the Dolphins might not be able to stop nobody, but they'll be able to put points on the board. I think the Jets, if Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy, they're going to be a problem. They're going to put a lot of numbers up, and I don't know if the Bills can stop that. I still think 2, maybe 3 teams coming out of my division. I feel like the Cowboys and the Bills are my 2 biggest letdowns because they're top performers in each division. My next 2, I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers, and I feel like the team is. I feel like the team is constructed very well. I just don't believe in Baker Mayfield. He's like up and down, and he was up last year, so it's time for him to be down this year. And again, like I said before, the Browns were a playoff team. They had a did he win defensive player of the year or was it yeah, Myles Garrett won, right?
I believe he did. Last year, I believe he won defensive player of the year.
Yeah, they had defense player of the year last year. I feel like that was the bone that they got. If they can't figure out that quarterback situation, they're not making the playoffs. Like, but I I do trust the fact that like I like how they constructed that quarterback room because they can figure it out. But I it's something about the Browns that I just don't trust. But those are my 4 bust teams. And also, let's get back to it. The fucking Rams. All right, I do not believe in Matt Stafford. I never did. That lucky shit, like Aaron Donald's going, they're not making the playoffs. I don't know how the fuck they did last year, but listen, they're not making the playoffs this year.
Okay. Cool. Like I said, for me, the putting like the Bucks and who else did you say was the other team? The Bucks.
The Bucks, the Browns, and the
The Browns. The
Rams.
Bucks and the Browns. Like I said, I just didn't look at it as teams who I like. It would be shocking that either if you said Super Bowl champion and put those names in, it would be shocking. Whereas where the names that I named, the teams that I named, those are teams that like if they won the Super Baltimore Ravens won the Super Bowl, that wouldn't be shocking. So that's why I thought that. So that's what it is. So let me just go. Let's just use that and let's jump over to the way too early playoff predictions. Remember, this is where you show what you know. I did that just for you, okay? I just want you to know I'm dropping bars here, okay?
There you go.
I'm gonna smack. You know what I mean? And we're gonna see what time it is with all the rest of the battle rap. So I'm gonna just run through mine real quick, only because the rest of the fans have seen mine before. So, and you don't have to put yours in any order if you, but I'm sure you probably did. But in the AFC, I have Buffalo winning the division. I have Buffalo winning the division. Out of the North, I got Cincinnati winning the division. In the South, I have Houston winning the division. And in the West, I have the Raiders. No, I'm just fucking with you. The Chiefs winning the division. And I have the Jets making it right now, but they looking a little iffy to me. And then I got my Colts and the Jags making the playoffs this year. That's the AFC. And then in the NFC, I got Philly winning the East. I got Detroit winning the North. I have the Falcons winning the South. I got the 49ers winning the West. And then I have the Bears and the Packers both making the playoff. And then finally with that last pick, I have the Rams making that last pick. I actually like that they're not so Matt Stafford dependent, and they're like Kyron Williams has a lot to do with his offense. Puka has a lot to do with this offense. What's the other wide receiver that everybody was so gung ho about 2 years ago? Cooper Kupp. You know what I mean? They're not doing that. Now they're replacing, of course, they're not going to be able to replace Aaron Donald, but I don't think that they're dependent. They're looking at Matthew Stafford to say, we need you to save us every week or every decision and all this stuff. Nah, they like Sean McVay is a good enough coach to get him not to do that. And I think whereas like Dallas, I think they're going to be Dak dependent. And anytime that they were Dak dependent, whether how much talent they had or they didn't have, they underachieved. And anytime they were not Dak dependent, no matter how untalented the roster was or how talented the roster was, they overachieved and they were really scary. So that's why I just don't like them being so Dak dependent. I like Dak Prescott, just not 17 weeks plus the playoffs.
He never in weeks. Did they pay their defensive end too or no? Because remember, there's three major contracts they need to.
No, he comes up next year. You're talking about Michael Parsons. He comes up next year.
Okay. I mean, I can see some of that shit never happening, but so I got my Ravens winning the division. Chiefs, of course. The Texans. I'm big on the Texans, and you are making me a believer of the Jets. I really like that kid Keon Cole, but I just don't think. I think, and I don't want to wish this on the boy. I think Josh Allen is not going to have a whole season. I think he's going to get like a sternal injury or God forbid a knee or something. He's going to be Superman out there. He's going to get hurt. Those are my 4 division winners. I'm bringing 2 teams with my Ravens, the Bengals and the Steelers. And then the last team, I know you want it to be your Colts, but no way in hell. You know what I mean?
You a hater.
I'm not a hater. Listen, I think I really like Richardson. I like his talent. I think he's going to have that Superman syndrome too. He got injured last year. And the problem with young guys, right? And we can say this because we older dudes now. The problem with young guys is they always got something to prove. He came out and he did all the right things and it didn't work out for him. Now he has to go out there and show that this is his team. I know they got Joe Flacco on the bench to help him out, but I don't see it. Also, I don't see the Jacksonville Jaguars doing it either, even though I do like some of the moves they made. I think that the last team in the playoffs over there is going to be. I'm gonna say something stupid. I'm gonna say the Los.
Of course you are. I expected that. If that's what you think, that I'm gonna shock me. I expected that. Go ahead.
I'm the Los Angeles Chargers.
You're not the first person that said that.
Okay. I really do like the Chargers depth. I mean, they got Gus Edwards, they got J.K. Dobson, and there's something about what like the Harbaugh boys, there should be some sort of collusion because why do they always get our players? I mean, like they did it when we won.
They got your whole backfield.
Yeah.
They got the whole backfield.
That's crazy, ain't it? I really do like. I still think that Khalil Mack has it. I think this team has a lot of the good. They still got Joey Bosa. I really like a lot of the players they have on defense. I thought a couple years ago I thought Justin Herbert was ascending. I thought he was going to be one of those top tier quarterbacks, and then I mean he was just way too reliant on Keenan Allen, right?
Yeah,
was that
yes.
Yeah. But I think this year he's going to be brought back a step and trained into being the right quarterback he's supposed to be. I think he's going to have a very managed year, but I feel like they're going to make the playoffs. On the NFC side, everybody has the Eagles winning. The Lions, we've already said. The 49ers, the Falcons. I'm going with Green Bay. And I really don't want to go with the Falcons because I really don't think Kirk Cousins is it. But I feel like,
where else you gonna go?
You're right. I mean, they're terrible, and I'm not a believer in Baker Mayfield. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Carolina makes a big jump. Let's pray Carolina.
Go with the wild cards. I don't even want to go there. Go with the wild cards. Just go with the wild cards.
I want Green Bay in there. Like I think Green Bay is very, 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 very capable of winning the division. We got the 49ers. This is harder to depict because I don't think the Cowboys make it. I know the Giants don't make it. I don't know what Washington's doing. Maybe I go back with Seattle and fuck it. I'll go with your Bears.
They ain't my Bears. I'm just telling you they good, you know? I just want you to know that they good.
They are good, but I don't trust him. But I think he can win enough games to get in
let me
because
ask you a question. Do you have enough time to do half of another segment or because I got about like a little over a minute to either wrap this up or do another
yeah,
segment? You got
yeah.
enough time to do the segment after this? All right, well then cool. Um, so then I don't think your picks are bad. Like Seattle is definitely a team where I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, yeah, that could absolutely happen. You know what I mean with Seattle. Um, I just don't. New head coach Geno Smith. You know what I mean? He was good for a year, but I think that's pretty much over with. You know, that's how I kind of felt about it. But they could. I want to address more of this AFC South hate in this in the next part. That's what I want to address. Matter of fact, we're gonna stop this here. We're gonna talk just about that because I don't appreciate what you did there.
I mean, you my guy, but this is how it all started. You know what I mean? We was talking about your AFC South in the hospital over prisoners and patients, my boy.
That is exact. That's the factual statement that you just made there. That's behind the scenes that people didn't see. This last part is really because once again you said some shit I didn't like. Okay, so we're gonna have to talk about this. Okay, so let's start with the Jacksonville Jaguars and stuff like that. So my thought on the Jacksonville Jaguars is I would say that one is a little bit more of a belief more than I'm putting my money on that. My belief is that Trevor Lawrence's career is a pretty decent one. Um, but if they miss the playoffs again for the second straight year, Doug Peterson's gone. Okay, they're starting a new staff. They're doing all of this with a quarterback that has for what we expected of him has underachieved for what it is. Now, restarting new offensive coordinator, new head coach, new philosophy, new everything. I think that would be hard to bounce back for and have a career that we look at and say that was a successful career. So add that to the fact that I think they do have a legitimate like pass rush. They do have Joshua Hines or Josh whatever. You know who I'm talking about. Josh Hines Allen, who I know he had over 10 sacks last year. And they have Trayvon Walker, who was the number one pick in the draft. I mean, he hasn't been spectacular, but he's good. He actually is pretty good. So I think they have an okay defense. I think they have a decent pass rush. I think Travis Etienne is a weapon, and actually I think those pass catchers, the wide receivers, are good enough if Trevor Lawrence, you know what I mean, steps up and does what he can do. You know what I mean? That he can't look at one guy and say, I'm just going to beat you with this guy. He's got to spread the ball around, and I think that's always more dangerous than having a guy than say he can just beat you, you know?
So when we go through these teams, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, you're putting them as a wild card in the playoffs. And I didn't look at their. I just want to look at their schedule. Um, I like Trevor Lawrence. I liked him in college. I like his ability, although it hasn't translated just yet.
Mhm.
He was the great hope. I mean, um, they don't have the easiest schedule. Yeah, they're playing a bunch of playoff teams, my boy. Like
Yeah,
Detroit.
but keep in mind that from one season to another in the last like 15 years, there's been an average of six new playoff teams. That means six teams that made the playoffs last year probably are not going to make it. So somewhere between 5 and 7 of those teams are not going to make the playoffs. So when you say they're playing all these playoff teams, that could be wins for them.
You're right. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take it like this, right? Trevor Lawrence doesn't have a true number one. And although I think he has it in him, they haven't made it easy for him to get to that next echelon of quarterbacks. And now you gave him two middle of the road number twos
Mhm.
and no clear cut. Like They believe Gabe Davis was an upgrade, and Gabe Davis is not an upgrade. Um, I feel like they're you're coming out here and you're asking Trevor Lawrence. You do give him a great running back. I'm not saying that running back isn't good, but besides that, I don't know if there's a Pro Bowl on this team. You mean like again, I like Trevor Lawrence. I loved him in college. Dynamic. He did everything. He's everything. He's like a mobile in college. He's like a mobile Peyton Manning, right?
Mm-hmm.
He gets the NFL, and it's another echelon. And then every year there's an issue. Like his wide receivers are doing dumb shit. Oh, then they get rid of his wide receiver. You mean like you're not giving this man what's necessary? And I do believe Doug Peterson is a great coach. I think he got shafted in Philly, but you're asking me to believe in this team just off of feelings when there's 31 other teams who are going out there and doing what's necessary. You had the opportunity to go get capable number twos who possibly could be number ones, and you didn't do that. You're not going after a Brandon Ayuk. You're not going after a Tyler Boyd. You didn't like you had the opportunity to go get some of these guys for cheap. You know what I mean? Like at least Marquise Brown was a number one, and he showed that he's capable. You know what I mean? You're not giving me upper echelon number twos. You're giving me number twos. You see how I said it with low voice?
I understand.
Now you're telling me quarterback now. There's 32. There's 32 teams, so there's 32 starting quarterbacks. There's really only 16 capable guys, right? Now we're gonna bring it in. The numbers are probably even more narrow. Like when you're asking people to do godly things, and what you're asking them to do is a godly thing. These receivers are not number one. They're not even number twos on some leagues in some teams in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are those. Neither one of those guys are they're a third string running back in most teams. They'll probably both start on my Ravens. But my Ravens are the bottom of the barrel as far as receiving corps. And then you're asking Lamar Jackson to do godly things, so he runs the ball and
so
the
Lamar
defense.
Jackson's one of those guys that can do godly things. So
game changer, not a game manager. You have a guy who I believe could be a game changer, but he hasn't been a game changer yet. And you're asking him to manage it, but that's all he has. That's where I'm at.
So but I'm a firm believer. If you're a great quarterback, at some point you're gonna have to put the deficiencies of your roster on your back, and you're gonna have to carry some shit, and it's gonna have to just be okay. Okay, so if he gonna get paid top of the league money, which I don't think he earned, but if he's gonna get paid top of the league money,
but they don't have a choice though. They don't have a choice because the way the cookies. The way the cookies.
That's here nor there. That's here nor there. The point that I'm making is, if you're going to get paid top of the league money, you got to be that guy who can do that. So my issue with all of these quarterbacks getting paid is not that me saying that they're not highly talented. It's that if I'm gonna pay a quarterback, and that's your decision as an organization, as a GM. If you're going to pay your quarterback, I'm the best in the NFL money, then you have to be able to carry some shit. Sometimes you got to reveal the S on your chest and reveal Superman to these motherfuckers. If you can't, then you can't. You know? And I'm saying I think Trevor Lawrence can. I think he can. So that's that. So that's dumb. That's Jackson. But Jackson was a little bit more of a projection, more than more than I'm putting my money behind it. Okay. Now, when it comes to my Colts, I don't know how you could look at my Colts and have the statement, Anthony Richardson, I like him and he's actually good, and look at the rest of this roster and not see a playoff team. My issue with the Colts is that Anthony Richardson is still a major question mark for me, and I don't have an answer to that question. And the question I need him to answer is, can you stay in the pocket and beat somebody from the pocket? I know that he can run. I know he's fast. I know he's big. He's powerful. He's strong. all these things. I understand. I know he got a 40-inch vertical, but you know it never helped a quarterback in the NFL having a 40-inch vertical. You know what Lamar Jackson, why he won MVPs and what he learned? I gotta beat. I know I'm dynamic outside of this pocket. I have to develop and beat people inside the pocket as well and make them scared of me inside the pocket as well. So I don't have that answer that Anthony Richardson can do that. Now, if he can do that, oh, you got me fucked up on the rest of this roster. Offensive line, one of the top 3 to 4 offensive lines in football. Okay, Jonathan Taylor, he's coming back. Okay, our wide receiver core, where it's not the best, but I like the pieces. I'm more of a pieces guy in like if I was getting my wide receiver core, the wide receiver core that comes to mind. Remember when the Saints with Drew Brees, when they won the Super Bowl and they had Ted Ginn, they had Marcus Colston, they had what's my man's name? My light skinned guy. He played for the Dolphins too. It's going to escape me. Either way, and they also had I can't even think of his name. He went to Tennessee though. I can remember the college, but not his name. Either way, they had guys as wide receiver pieces more than all of these number 1 wide receivers. With the Colts wide receiver core, I see guys in different positions and different situations that could come up big in what they do. Are they all number 1 wide receiver? No, but I really like this wide receiver core.
You guys number 1 though. You guys have a true number.
Michael Pittman Jr. is a friend. He's a lower end number 1, maybe. Okay, I don't know. Like, all right. So how many? When you say he's a number 1, how many teams do I think he can be a number 1 on? I mean, let me ask you this. If Michael Pittman Jr. is on your Ravens, is he a number 1?
I think he'd be a 1B type guy.
So on that wide receiver core that we said was real slim, he may or may not be even then.
No. I'm getting.
No, I got you. No, it's and there's no slight. All I'm saying is, if anything, I'm slighting my own guy, and I do like him. I'm just saying he's of the lower end of these number 1s. He's our number 1, but he's on the lower end of number 1 wide receivers. Okay. I actually was considering him and T. Higgins to be around the same thing, and I would have loved to have T. Higgins, but I don't know if you look at T. Higgins as like, Randy Moss or anything like that. No, I like our wide receivers. We have 3 tight ends that we can rotate in and out. We have a defensive line that was a top 3 pass rusher in sacks, and it got better with our guy with our rookie Liatu. So our pass rush is going to be still just as dominant. Our defense, we had a top 10 defense last year. I'm saying if Anthony Richardson is bad, I think it will be bad. But if Anthony Richardson is what other people are saying he is, I don't know how you look at the Indianapolis Colts this year and say they're not a playoff team. I just don't see it.
Didn't you guys lose a defensive end?
Yeah, Samson Ebukam.
That's your most.
So, but what I'm saying is, Liatu is better than Samson Ebukam. So it would have been phenomenal if he didn't get hurt. But our pass rush is still going to be better this year than it was last year.
How is he better though? Like I don't understand.
Oh, you didn't see, listen. I watched the preseason game. Listen. No. First team offenses are chipping him even now. They're looking at him and saying, oh, he needs a double team. And he's been we've been hearing little stuff about him all year. I am very high. Now, he has to show it in the regular season, of course. But I'm very high and watching. Anytime an offense says, oh, we got to double team that guy, even just to not let him get loose, like, come on. Like, you know what I mean? The offense said it. I didn't say that. The offense said you have to double team him at least sometimes. You know what I mean? I'm not saying every play, but sometimes he's going to have to warrant a double team. That's not something that Samson Ebukam had for us last year.
Yeah, I mean, but Samson still had about 9-10 sacks last year. I agree. He's super dynamic. He explodes off the line. What happened to Shaq Leonard? Did y'all trade him?
Yeah, he's done now. But he was an Eagle last year. Yeah, right. He's and the Eagles released him already, so he's done. Yeah, he's not coming back. He just too many injuries.
I
But EJ Speed and Zaire Franklin, it's like we never missed Shaq Leonard. Like we never missed him.
I don't know.
If you remember correctly, and I said this to you, I said the one thing that the reason I don't like my Colts right now is because our highest paid players is as a linebacker and an offensive guard. That is no longer the case. I did not like having our highest paid player be a linebacker. I didn't think it rewards as much as it pays out that you have to pay out to it.
Yeah, listen, I like the Colts as constructed, even though I don't like Colts fans. You know what I mean? But I
you know, when you
like
agree, they love to hate. Okay, what you want me to say?
I just think that Anthony Richardson is going, or which is Richard or Richardson, he's going to need one more year. I think he's going to need one more year. It's only so much you can learn from sitting. That injury is, I don't. I could be completely wrong. He could come.
Then you have the same question that I have, and if you had that question, then I totally see how you're like, I don't know if they make the playoffs. That's off of the statement that you said. I don't have that question about Anthony Richardson because some people don't, and I'm like, I still kind of do.
I don't know how anyone can. You know what I mean? Like we haven't seen him yet.
Well, he played for 4 games last year.
And in his 4 games last year, let's look at his stats.
Okay, they were good. They were good.
87 2 fumbles. He threw for 4 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I need to watch more Colts games.
What was his stat? What was his completion percentage? How many yards? Interception.
I was doing it from ESPN.
That's valid. I can look up the stats real quick.
I like Pro Football Reference better. So last year he threw for 577 yards, 59.5 completion percentage. He threw for 1 interception and quarterback rating of 87.3. 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns. And how many rushing?
That's passing. Passing, rushing. He rushed for 136 yards.
How many touchdowns? I know he had a couple.
4.
And 4 rushing touchdowns. So yeah. him as a player, he had 7 touchdowns and about 600 total yards.
Yeah.
And in a completion percentage of about 87 and 1 interception.
Completion percentage 59. The QBR was 8.
QBR. Okay, 87 and 1 interception.
Quarterback rate, yeah.
So what do those numbers say to you?
It says that he could be him. He could be.
That's what I'm saying. Like I could, but I have a question about that. You see, everything that I've said has been more about like if I have a question, but I have a question about him being him. I know the one thing that I don't like, and that was the one thing that I didn't like about him was that he had a 40-inch vertical. Because that's never helped shit, and people keep talking about it as a real attribute for a quarterback.
I don't know if it's not an attribute. I mean, maybe we're in
40-inch vertical help a quarterback.
Maybe we're talking about Randall Cunningham. You know what I mean? Like we don't. I see.
So I doubt Randall Cunningham had a 40-inch vertical, but even if he did have a 40-inch vertical, which I don't think he did, how was that going to help Randall Cunningham? What play that you can remember of Randall Cunningham? Did you see him jumping over another human being when they were standing straight up and there was nothing that could be done?
Jumped over it was a goal line possession. I remember when I was a kid, he would do this often. He would just jump over it. Like like Jalen Hurts' thing is the quarterback sneak and he goes in behind the offensive lineman.
The brotherly shove. That is a wild name.
but he would literally, because that's where the trenches are, and then everyone's clawing it. He would drop back and jump over it. It was never a question if it was a goal line, he would let them jumble at the line and jump over it. I'll look for a clip and send it to you.
I
Now,
understand what you're saying, but like you got like it doesn't matter in the grander scheme of things. Or so like when he was with the Eagles and he was able to do stuff like that, they didn't like they weren't NFC favorites. You know what I mean? They weren't going to the Super Bowl. It didn't matter in the greater scheme of things. It was something probably that held them back because he needed to develop more at something and he didn't do that.
so here I'm looking at the game logs, right?
The scariest that I ever saw Randall Cunningham, in my opinion, was when he was with the Vikings and he had Randy Moss, and he was not jumping over anything.
Here's I'm looking at Anthony Richardson's game logs, right?
Mm-hmm.
4 games. Jacksonville Jaguars, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and a rushing touchdown, right? He throws for 223 yards, 64% completion percentage. Plays the Houston Texans, who I believe got better. 6 for 10, 60%, 56 passing yards, 35 rushing yards, but he did rush for 2 touchdowns, right? No touchdowns, no interceptions. Doesn't play the 3rd game against Baltimore, plays the Rams, who were trash last year. 2 passing touchdowns, a 44% completion percentage, 98.7 passer rating, and he ran for a touchdown. And then, but that was 200 yards. But he also rushed for 56 yards. Like, I mean, and I'm not mad at these numbers because these are Lamar Jackson type numbers. He'll throw for 200 yards one game,
250 and then rush for 100, and it'll be like 350.
Then it was their 5th game.
I get that, but what I'm saying is with this, what I'm saying about the Indianapolis Colts and the current roster, and by the way, I do like our cornerbacks too.
I really do like your team.
What I'm saying is that currently constructed. If you're right about Anthony Richardson, we have if you're right about Anthony Richardson, I'm not saying you. If people are right about Anthony Richardson, like they have said they are, we got better than. So Houston was 1 game better than us last year, only 1 game, and we had Gardner Minshew. If Anthony Richardson is what now we're going to win the division. If he's like that, if he's him, if he's that guy, we're winning this division. Like Houston did not improve as a roster more than we did from last year to this year. It depends on if Anthony
as a roster.
No, I mean they got Stephon Diggs. What are we talking about outside of Stephon Diggs?
You don't like the Joe Mixon, and then
I told you I think Joe Mixon is a guy. He's a guy. He's good. He's a guy though.
Yeah,
and they have they call it the syndrome. The syndrome is you only got 1 football, and unfortunately, you got 3 wide receivers looking to get 1,000 yards, and you have like Joe Mixon can't get 1,000 yards rushing. He can't get 800 yards rushing, and all those wide receivers get 1,000 yards. You know what I mean? Like and all 3 of those wide receivers are not getting 1,000 yards anyway, but they're going to try to. They got the syndrome. They built it the wrong way.
I feel like what you're saying is false. I mean, even if no one gets 1,000 yards, I feel like he has 3 guys that are capable of getting 900 yards, right?
Not on the same team. Somebody's going to get 500.
We saw the 49ers do it last year too.
No, they had 2 guys that had around 1,000 yards, and then the 3rd wide receiver had
4 players get 1,000 yards last year.
Keep talking. I'm gonna look for that. I'm not aware of that. Keep talking. Yeah. Keep talking.
I think I trust in the Texans. I've been big on the Texans since the end of last season. I like the quarterback. I like the receiving core. I like the coach. Most importantly, I really, really like the coach. I can't say that your team is better. I mean, your team. I guess in essence.
Okay. So last year, just to let you know, I'm looking up the stats right now. So Ayuk had 1,300 yards receiving. Kittle had 1,000 yards receiving. Deebo Samuel had 892 yards receiving. And Juwan Jennings had 265 yards receiving because they had to get the ball to Christian McCaffrey, who had 564. The point that I'm making once again is everybody can't get the ball.
You're
Somebody's
right. Right.
like it drops off. You can't get somebody's not happy, and they're all wide receivers, and people overestimate wide receivers.
They had
I would
1,000.
have been more scared of the Texans had they gotten another offensive lineman or another defensive end.
They had 1,000 yard. They had 1,000 yard rusher, 2,000 yard receivers, almost a third 1,000 yard receiver,
I mean,
and
800, yeah, we can say that. Okay, sure. Almost 800, 800, and was it 92?
yeah,
892 yards, yes. Almost.
I now we're not gonna get 1,000 yards from Joe Mixon. We'll probably get 800. But I feel as though the.
I actually think that's going to be more like 600.
Do you think it's gonna be 600?
Yes, because when the 49ers got Christian McCaffrey, because if you realize he actually had the most amount of yards on the whole team because he was 1,000 yard back and he caught for 500 yards. So his total contribution was 1,500 yards. So he was
Yeah,
had the most production. They're not doing that with Joe Mixon.
His contribution was 2,000 yards. He ran for 1,400 and then rushed for 5 something.
His contribution was 2,000 yards. 100% right. So his contribution was 2,000 yards. Joe Mixon ain't coming close to that. That's the best that's the best running back in the league. You think the Texans are prioritizing even 40% of what 49ers are prioritizing Christian McCaffrey?
No, that's why you went and got Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's not that type of guy to make those demands. Like, you're saying it as if
falls off because you have 3. And you got Schultz there still too, by the way, buddy. Don't forget about him.
That I'm not forgetting about him. I told you out of my own mouth, Joe Mixon is a hard hat, come to work every day guy, right? You're looking at a Houston team. What did they have last year? Nico Collins 1,200, Tank Dell 700, Schultz 635, right? I can see Devin Singletary 900 yards. Okay, that's cool. Damian Pierce 400 yards. I can see the same production, but you're getting a team that has the camaraderie, and now you're spreading the offense more. The quarterback already showed that he's capable of spreading the ball. He threw 4,000 yards as a rookie. He's very intelligent. He knows what he's doing. I know he's not Anthony Richardson, but I really like the Texans quarterback. I really like CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud right now, he's the best quarterback in the division.
Yes. And then he got one more weapon, which I get what you're saying. Like,
that's not always better.
It's not always better.
They have legitimately in their thought processes, they have at least two number 1 wide receivers. And they have another one. If we're saying Tank Dell, we're hoping Tank Dell doesn't see himself as a number 1 wide receiver. Like it's just a lot. So what I'm saying is if Anthony Richardson has bridged that gap between where I think he might be and CJ Stroud, the Colts roster is a better roster than Texans. Absolutely.
I can't say that. I can't say that.
Well, let's see. I'm glad we have this next segment because we can go down this path. I got more time to go down this path. Let's just go roster can we just look up depth chart for depth chart?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So
do that.
But yeah, all right, matter of fact, we'll do them both.
And then we'll wrap this up after this. Because I know you all popular and famous and you got things that you got to do.
I'm trying to be like you when I grow up.
Man, you already there, surpassed that.
You know what I mean? You Mr. International.
International Reek is what they call me, but that's a whole nother conversation. Okay, so take a quarterback out of it, okay? Okay, running back. Jonathan Taylor against your boy, Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon, and I'll give you Damian Pierce too.
Jonathan Taylor's better.
Okay. So
remember,
wide receiver position, I'm going to give you because you got Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell. But I will let you know, Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, who's a revelation, and Adonai Mitchell. And when you add Alec Pierce as a number 4 wide receiver, I like it, but I still give you the Texans. Okay, so tight ends. Let's go to tight end. You got Dalton Schultz. Okay. Now he's the best of them, but of our tight ends, we have Kylan Granson, Mo Alley Cox, Jelani Woods, and Drew Ogletree. And Jelani Woods was our pick last year, and he actually might get cut.
Okay.
So we have more tight ends, but if you want to say he's better, I'll give you that. Offensive line, it's not close. Our offensive line is better. Okay. Let's go defensive end. Defensive ends, we got Kwity Paye. We have Liatu Latu. Actually, it's not going to be close when we talk about how many, but our defensive ends, we got Kwity Paye, Liatu Latu. We have Dayo Adengbo and Tyquan Lewis. Now, they do have Will Anderson, but Derek Barnett, is he a guy now? I haven't heard from him in like 2 or 3 years. Daniel Hunter or Danico Autry.
Okay.
The point I'm making is we have far more pass rushers than them, but Will Anderson is the best. Defensive tackle, we blow them out the window. They got Mario Williams or Mario Edwards, and I can't even pronounce the other guy's name, but
Fatukasi.
Yes, I don't know who the hell that is.
I don't know either.
But DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart are absolutely. DeForest Buckner is one of the best 5 defensive tackles in the NFL, and Grover Stewart was a Pro Bowler. We kill them on the defensive line. Linebackers, Zaire Franklin had over 100 tackles, and EJ Speed would be in the other guy. Their linebackers are Christian Harris, Aziz Al-Shahir. Aziz Al-Shahir is actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. But what would you like? Who you've seen both of them? Who would you take in that situation?
To be honest with you, I'm gonna say it's a tie at the linebacker position.
Okay, that's fine. So cornerbacks, they got Derek Stingley, and they got Kamari Lassiter, and they also got Jeff Okuda. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We have at corners Juju Brents, who he did get hurt, but check his numbers from last year.
He's nice. He's nice. Juju Brents.
We got Dallas Flowers, and we got Jalen Jones, and we have our nickel corner is like our second best corner, is actually our second best corner. Kenny Moore too. So Derek Stingley would be the best of them. But once again, if you go down the rest of the list, 2 through 8, we have it over them.
Yeah, I get all that. I get all that.
But that's what I'm saying. Like when you look at the rosters, we're deeper than them. They have
on defense. You're deeper than them on defense. They're deeper than you on offense. So it's like,
no, we're deeper than them at offense too. They just have more names at the top.
You're deeper than them at the tight end position only.
We have 4 wide receivers.
They have 4 wide receivers also.
No. They're not ever throwing to that 4th wide receiver. You will listen. That 4th wide receiver, unless there's an injury, he's getting no burn. You're not going to hear from him this whole year. Forget his. You could say his name because you're never going to say his name all year.
Robert Woods.
You're never going to say the name Robert Woods, and he was good. You're never going to say Robert Woods this year. Trust me.
I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like this team. See, you're talking about 4 wide receivers, and your question about your quarterback is, can he be a pocket passer? I'm talking about 4 wide receivers, and we know this man is a capable pocket passer. It's not the same thing. Like now, if we swap teams, if we swap quarterbacks, then I'd be talking about 4 wide receivers, and I'd be saying you got too many receivers that you're not going to use. Trust me, looking at these rosters, right? Your team is the Baltimore Ravens, and the Texans is the Cincinnati Bengals. But before they fucked up and didn't pay people like that, that's how the teams pan out. I like your team because it's built like my team. Your quarterback is like my quarterback. You have one of those situations where you don't have a true number 1, but you have a great running back. So like there's going to be a lot of bridging there, right? but you try to sneak your Colts in and your Jaguars in and keep the Texans out. And there's no way that's
I
happening.
didn't say that. I said the Texans were winning the division. I said the AFC South has 3 teams
Oh.
in the playoffs.
Okay, well, the AFC South will not have 3 teams. They will have 1, possibly 2. They will not have 3.
I'm telling you, they gonna have
Trevor
3.
Lawrence, and I'm gonna say it now, I'm not racist. The Great White Hope ain't gonna be great this year. I don't care.
We'll see. We'll see.
I like him, and I like Doug Peterson. I think he got shafted. I really like Trevor Lawrence, but this ain't his year, my boy. And
expect some wholesale changes for the Jacksonville Jaguars come next year.
Listen, the Jacksonville Jaguars, I hope they don't get rid of Doug Peterson because I feel like he'll get shafted again. I feel like the organization. See, it sucks for a quarterback when an organization lets you down. You got a pocket passer. You didn't go get him no wide receivers. You go get him Gabe Davis. You know how disrespectful that was when they did that to Josh Allen last year, and you see how that worked out for him? That was fucked up. I don't want to dislike Josh Allen. There's tons of Bills fans, and you guys are great fans to stick with them sorry ass niggas all these years. But guess what? Guess what?
What?
That owner don't give a fuck. He got you Gabe Davis. Like, come on.
Okay.
I'll tell you that these niggas don't care about you. Like, that's all I'm saying. Anthony Richardson may make it. He may make it. I'm not gonna hate on the boy. That's your guy. I just don't. I see the Steelers going in before I see the Colts going in, and that's because at that quarterback position was their weakness, and I feel as though it's not a weakness anymore. I feel as though Russell Wilson is a game manager, and that's all they need him to do. Okay. They gave him just enough.
Okay.
He has way more tools than he did in the Broncos. If he puts up Broncos numbers with that Steelers defense, there's no question. And I'm going to tell you like this, the Steelers defense is better than your defense. And I like your defense. Your defense reminds me of my
Steelers defense is better.
Your defense, your team is designed like my team.
Well, let me wrap this up real quick. Let me wrap it up. Okay, you brought the heat. Okay, we heard you. Okay? Appreciate you. Yo, we appreciate you coming through as always, man. You always come and light this motherfucker up. You know what I'm saying? All the fans ask about you all the time. Where's Cesar? I'll be like, he'll be back. Relax. It's my show, okay? But once again, guys, you can catch our full episodes on Spotify and on YouTube. Our Reels game, man. If you've been keeping up with the Reels, bro, they've been going crazy.
Yes.
Catch our Reels on we've been hitting like 50,000 views, like more consistent, like 40 to 50,000 views. So we're very happy, very honored by that, humbled by that. But yeah, you catch our Reels on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We're all over the place. And I know you just sat here for more time than everybody else. I ain't never given nobody this much time. And you said all of that good shit. And unfortunately, I still got to tell you, cuz you don't know football. Sorry, man. We always love having you, man. Please come back soon, brother. Don't stay away too long.
All right, fam. Thank you.
You got it.